This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa! You are not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about theme park magic without the pixie dust. I am one of your hosts, Nathan Hartman, on this wonderful episode, a rather sausage festy episode of the show, since it's all the boys. It's boys tonight, including Dave Cobb. Hello, Dave.
Sup, bro?
Sup, bro? Let's sling one back and
Here we go. Yeah. While I show off my Epic Universe Cup here.
Oh yeah, he's got Epic Universe Cup. He's very cool. And subbing in this evening is one of our favorites, Brii. Hello, Brii.
Hi, welcome. Very happy.
Welcome to who? Welcome to me. Welcome to me. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome to Brohood.
Welcome to Brohood, yo.
That's what it is.
For our, it seems inappropriate, but maybe it's good, for our 69th episode, which is actually our 70th, because we got all lost with Tokyo and all my travels and whatever.
Right.
It's the 69th.
You should do the 69, dude.
69, brah. So we are, just a couple of dudes doing some locker room talk tonight. All right, cool. So anyway, some news. If you've not noticed, Janine's not been here recently, and Bri's filling in for her tonight, and hopefully maybe he'll be filling in a little bit more because, well, Janine is going to be she's going to be popping in and out, hopefully now and then, but she's a bit on maternity leave because we got a baby rat showing up. And so Janine, we congratulate her. She gave me permission to let the pod and the show know. And we're so excited for her. And I'm sure you're excited to be an uncle again. I mean, you're still an uncle to your first kid. But
I'm an uncle to many. But yeah, I'm super, super excited. I'm really happy for her and her husband. I mean, they're the best. And I'm so happy for them. Yeah.
So congrats to you, Janine. And, you get excuses for not coming on. Oh, I'm going to throw up. I can't come under the pod. Fine. You only get 9 months to use those excuses. Once that baby, comes right out, you're back on. So get to stepping. No, it's fine. Of course, as much time as you need. And you may hear, I don't know if you're going to hear on this pod or not, this episode, you might hear mewing coming from my house. No, I do not have a new kitten myself, but for the second time in 2 weeks, last week we found a kitten while on a walk in the evening. And then this evening we were on a walk, and we saw this nice little black cat who came right up to us, and was very hungry. And was very sweet. And so we went back and got the little thing and put it in the, I don't know what you call it, little storage thing. And now it's in our second bathroom, which is right next to where I record. So, it's basically kind of chilled out, but it's it's in prison and has no idea what's going on. So, but the poor thing finally is eating, and we'll be taking it to a no-kill shelter, of course, tomorrow morning. So, best for that. I don't know. We have some kind of fieldy areas. We're in town, but kind of have some fieldy, woodsy areas. I don't know if it's like an asshole drop-off point for cats or something, but we're happy to do our part in saving kitty cats. So if you hear that, I'll probably try to get most of it out of the edit, but that's what's going on in the Hartman house. But we have so much to talk about this episode, for good or for ill. And so let's get to it with the news. All right, we're going to begin in the Magic Kingdom or Magic Kingdom. So this is something, we'll talk more about something I've been working on recently, but I always call it the Magic Kingdom, and it's technically just Magic Kingdom now. I think they dropped the very Facebooky, I don't know, like the 80s, maybe? I don't know.
Hmm.
Something like that. But yeah, Magic Kingdom, as we call it. We have confirmation now that the Frontierland Shooting Arcade is to close for a DVC lounge that will be themed to exploration, whatever that means. What are our thoughts? What do you think about losing this? As many probably know, the Frontierland Shooting Arcade cost money for a while, for many, many years. And I think since COVID, it's been free. Now it's no more, or will be soon, if not already by the time you listen. What are our thoughts?
Did I see discussion online where people were saying this is because they're like taking guns out of the park? Like people think
Something
this is
like
because that's not. I mean, maybe, but this is also like the other thing's going to make more money. People, this is capitalism, not political correctness about guns.
Right. It's a little late for that.
Yeah.
We've done that whole bit. There was I'm trying to remember who posted online the great Disney outlet gun purge that was after a public shooting. Disney like dumped all of the guns they had for sale in the parks, like all the pirate guns and all of that. It was all no, there's nothing to do with it. You're absolutely right. It's a they don't want to maintain something. It's just a net zero for them. No, it's a loss.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have or even want to share to this, but I don't fully grasp the DVC formula. Like
all you need to know is you're throwing away your money.
Okay.
Yeah. You like
that's largely what I suspected.
I think there are
certain people, there are certain kinds of families that probably do enough vacationing there that it makes sense for them.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, I know a family that's going to Alani because DVC had a way to make it happen that was cheap. So it's one of those. You're right. It's like a massive investment, and you either get stuff back or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any other timeshare, which is like you're quote unquote. I'm putting air quotes for our listening and not watching audience. You are buying property, not really, that you don't have access to all the time, and you only have a certain amount of points that you buy into that you can use up every year. And I guess if you're the kind of family that wants a dedicated vacation place and style, there are families that can benefit from that. But timeshare to me has always just been described as a big old farce.
Yeah, I think it's convenience too, like the fact that you have rooms set aside for you. Yeah. It makes it easier to, like, if you want to go during the summer or something, it's not as hard because you're sort of a part of it.
So I'm confronted with this when I learned that yet another space in the parks is like transforming into a DVC exclusive space.
Yeah.
And, like, real estate, like more and more real estate within the park being absorbed by this DVC cancery thing. So I'm just really curious.
It literally metastasizes. They have to make they have to make more hotels.
Yeah. They're trying to add amenity to make it worthwhile for people to buy into this idea, right? So it can't just be the hotels anymore. It can't just be the DVC rooms that you get. It ends up having to roll out into the parks and in amenities like this. And
well, have any of you tried a DVC lounge? Have you ever been to the one at Epcot?
No, I've been to the one that in Tomorrowland here that was upstairs at the old America Sings building.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But that was open to the public as well, or did it just become a DVC? I forget how that worked.
I don't know. The one at Epcot is at the top of the Imagination Pavilion, which is a gorgeous, like,
I've been up there before. It was a DVC space.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's a sad use of a space. It would be nice if people could go up and check things out and go shopping or whatever, or see new image work stuff. But I mean, I went with people that had DVC, right? So it was great in the sense that it's a hot day at Epcot and someone's going to give me Coca-Cola Freestyle and gummy worms and I can sit, like that ruled.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
I think that it's funny to me that every park now needs both a Club 33 for the richest of the rich and a DVC lounge for the less rich, but still richer.
But still rich.
Yeah.
The violent murdering of the middle class is just.
You mean in general?
Yeah, in general.
I mean,
but reflected in the parks. You know what I'm saying? Like this started in the 50s when, or 60s.
Yeah.
When, all of this was new and it was a surge of capitalism. Now we're just getting into this.
Well, and Disney used to be a place where that middle class there could be some parity with people with money. This was Disney parks were, I mean, don't get me wrong. There was always expensive hotel rooms in Club 33. There was always an upper echelon and upper crust, but there was a democratization of the parks were a certain democratization of experience.
Everybody gets on standby together.
Right. And that's not the case anymore. And they see dollar signs and things like Genie Plus and DVC, and it's just going to get worse, right? It's going to get worse until people stop going to the park. Yeah. And that's not going to happen, right? People are still going to go. They're going to grit their teeth and spend the money.
I don't want it, but I really don't really don't want it. Like I don't, but like the silver lining of another recession is that it sobers Disney up like it did the last time. And they have to like go, oh, we actually have to get people here. It is hard to if your business is, you always have enough people.
I would also say
exploit the hell out of them.
They've developed such a notoriety now at this point, with their DVC. Aggressive pursuit of more money.
Nickel and diming,
without really putting much out to show for it,
No, the experience is not. I never thought I'd say that like this is the first time in 30-ish years that I am not renewing my annual pass for Disneyland. I've had one literally every year except for the 2 years we lived in Orlando when I had Orlando passes, 98 to 2000. This is the first time I've never owned one for one of the Disney parks because it's just not worth the return anymore. I can't get the use out of it that I used to do without a lot of planning. And then every trip is an extra $15 for parking because it's a discounted parking rate. And another $20 to $30 for Genie Plus if I really want to have a good time, especially if I'm bringing friends who've never gone. And so all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I'm spending $30 to $45 extra for every trip on top of a pass that's, $2,000, $3,000. It's like, I have to go, I did the rough calculation and I have to go like 12 times in a year for it to break even. And it's like, okay, in the days when I could just show up, that would work because there were often days where Jason and I would look at each other and just go, hey, let's go have dinner at the park and ride a ride and come home and wing it. And it's like, that's not, you can't really do that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. On when it comes to this area, this shooting gallery space, it's a weird space because I understand getting away from the gallery, the arcade concept. People bemoan the loss, and I'm sort of like, I don't know. It's sort of a carnival-y thing anyway. It was the nicest version of that, but it's not like a thing you need to do when you're there.
No.
It may have been at some point. Like when did that thing show up?
I mean, they were still using like BBs at one point.
Yeah.
So like it's it's old. It's an old concept. And I think that it's a weird space. It's connected to the back of Adventureland, and I think they probably share a space theoretically, or could. It wouldn't surprise me if there's an area where it is in Adventureland. It's sort of like you don't go in there. Like it's a little. I wouldn't be surprised if the shooting gallery is literally inside Adventureland in that way. I don't know. I would have made like a photo. Like I loved when they used to do like little wooden cutouts of things, and like I don't know, put Woody's Roundup cutouts there, and so you can take pictures with it and stuff, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
just make it, kind of theme it to like a photography shop, an old timey photo shop, and not that it would be that cliche, but it would be a free thing that you could take some photos in and get a little cool if you need it, some shade. That at least doesn't cost anything. That's the thing about this kind of lounge is like if I thought the space could be utilized for something better, I would agree. But I'm also sort of like, I don't know. It's like it's a pretty small space. Like it's not.
Well,
it's
what
not
is the
asking for
typical
much
capacity for a DVC?
I mean, the one at Epcot's massive. I mean, it's the whole upstairs area. So unless this one sort of got secret areas connected to it, that spot's not going to be very big.
Right.
And it won't be impressive. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It just needs to be chairs and, a freestyle and you're good to go. But, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like.
They still, hey, if they still have it at Tokyo Disneyland, go there. It's.
I'm sure they do.
And that one actually you get if you get a little card at the end.
Oh, really?
You scored, yeah, and a perfect score of 10 gets you a little silver sheriff badge.
Of course.
And if your scorecard says lucky on it at 10, you get a gold badge, and it's like awesome. So they make it, yeah.
See, but you pay for that, right?
I think it's a quarter or whatever is equivalent, like a 20 yen or whatever.
Right.
But I think maybe, who knows, but
I don't remember it when I was there, but I was only at.
Oh, I just found it. It's a 200 yen for 10 shots.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, mine, I'm sure it was running. That day is a bit of a blur. You're doing a lot in one day.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to something that's, opened, and that is of course over at Epcot, the Communicore complex, which is what I'll call it. We'll break this up into sections. I would consider that Communicore Hall, the Mickey and Friends meet and greet, and then the Communicore Plaza. So those three areas on if you're entering the right side, which has been closed for so long. It is all now, but I believe that side is called, or it used to be called the west side, right? Because theoretically it's actually west. Entering the park, it's opposite. You're going south. So it's a little bit weird. But Epcot West is now open. Let's talk about Communicore Hall.
Do we have to?
I mean, it is a something I have in this area too that we were going to talk about, but this is considered by Disney to be the culmination of the Project Gamma concept. We'll kind of go into that a little more detail, but this is the big shrug to end, with a big finale here. So Communicore Hall.
Do you guys have anything positive to say about it?
Sure. I have one thing, which is that I saw photos for it at the media event. And I didn't even recognize it. And then someone had to explain to me that they put the flags up after the media event. And I was like, why didn't they just leave all that stuff up? Like, you don't have to run the extra bar or whatever, but like,
yeah.
So for those who've not seen it, and I'll put some photos here, but here's sort of what it looked like during the media event. And then 24 hours later, like maybe a little more, it looks like a hospital cafe. Like,
did they only remove the flags, or was anything else removed from the space?
I mean, they closed all of the, like, I don't know what they call them, those little capsules for bars, and
they have these big hanging signs for the media event.
Yeah,
it was like the Epcot Pavilion logos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did notice, and this was something that was being joked about on Twitter, that the flags were very unevenly distributed throughout this space. And so it's like, great, you purpose built this new space and you have I'm looking at it now. It's kind of chaotic.
Yeah. Now they
So
call
I
it
wonder if that was like a note, and they're like, and like yank that out, but otherwise the space remained the same.
I don't know. They call it a flex space that they can change for events and stuff. And
Yeah,
for a
because-
flex space, they sure ain't flexing.
No, it's got the air walls that go between it, like you'd see in a hotel conference center. Like, I foresee a bar mitzvah happening in here. Basically,
it won't be 6 months before we see a sign that says Communicore Hall is closed today to the public. Like this is
the events group 1. That's what happened here. The events group 1, they probably make far too much money on festivals and private events.
Well, this is where you can have your wedding reception now.
Yeah. It's going to be mostly that, to be honest. It's not a pretty space. It's as pretty as what you'd find in a contemporary hotel. It's fine in terms of being usable. It isn't particularly inviting, but that is all because the events people probably said, here's what we want. Here's the blankness we want. Here's the
so we can add
the amount
to
of
it.
space we need, and we're going to add stuff to it for events. And there may be times like during Food and Wine where this becomes something specific to park goers. But
they're saying that this is the new festival center. They're saying that the Odyssey is done, and Wonders of Life, clearly they're not using that anymore. This is supposed to be where, because it's up front and closer to the entrance, this is supposed to be where the festival center is. There's no way that's going to work. This place is far too small.
It's too small, yeah.
Yeah. I have liked, I don't know what they call it. I always forget the name of the large, where people have prom at Epcot in World Showcase. No. The big center. That's
like the 2000 tarp.
The thing that's adjacent to Showcase.
What used to be it was there for the price of the 2000 Millennium Village.
It might still be called Millennium Village, or that's what people call it anyway. But anyway, that place is like quadruple the size of this, and it works very well. I mean, it worked very well for festivals.
One of the things I see in the photos is there's underneath above the blue couches in the photos, there's like these glass walls that look to me like maybe those open up and they're serving counters.
I believe so.
Okay. So it would be flex space for food and things, but this is tiny. Mm-hmm. This is really small.
It's going to be at best, I think, in comparison to the Odyssey, where you have one booth or two booths, one on each side, and then some stuff in the middle. I don't care how they use the space. Like, I really don't. I just think the default shouldn't look like, a rec room at a college. Like it's rough.
But that's the thing. That's the problem, is that's what the event people want, and they won, right? And I hate to say it, like, as much as this is not pretty, and I will hope to see events actually use it in a good way. This is the kind of thing where if this had happened 40 years ago, 30 years ago, before the internet, no one would have blinked an eye, because it wouldn't have been announced. We wouldn't have had a release. Wouldn't have had a media day. It wouldn't. It would just be like, Epcot's redone. Here's your plaza. We have a show for you to watch. Everything else is, you'll see when you see it for events. They would not have rolled it out like this. I think that's one of the problems, is Disney's terrible at rolling things out nowadays.
Horrible.
We haven't noticed for the last 2 or 3 years at least. And this is one of them. It's like, they shouldn't have rolled it out at all. They shouldn't even have announced it as a thing. It should have been an operational amenity only. Not
do you have amenity. Do they need the space for people to pass through? Is that an issue? No, there's the normal pass throughs available. So is there restrooms in there? I didn't see restrooms.
They're
outside.
Mark my words that within that, yes, we're not going to see it a lot, because it's going to be, of corporate events and weddings and things. And hopefully some of the food festivals maybe, but mark my words, there's going to be merch carts in there very, very soon, because they're going to figure out, we can fill it with some merchandise while people are waiting. Maybe they'll spend some more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're already, I'm sure, pissed that, I know some APers that have already stopped by to play cards. Like,
I saw that on Twitter. Somebody said there should be a book club. I think it was Hal Bowers said Monday will be Canasta, Tuesday will be book club.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd go. If I was still
pass holders, do it. You guys should do it.
Fuck with them.
Please bring your D&D set and have an entire D&D session.
Yeah.
In Communicore. I want photos, listeners. Yeah. Please come up with something you can stow in a backpack that is appropriate to bring in the park, and don't go out of your way and make it like you're going to bring a sewing machine and have craft day. Like, that's not going to work. But like, seriously, bring a book and have a book club. Everybody bring some cards and play canasta. Like, call them on it.
Yeah.
Okay, you want a flex space? We're going to use this as a flex space thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good to me, right? I think, yeah. My thing is, we also wouldn't have had a problem with it if they would have just, I don't know, made it look nice, like kept the stuff up for Media Day, and we would have went, oh, okay, I see. And they're like, this is a sort of a, I don't know, the history of Communicore or whatever. Like, just make a little display.
And again, I bet you there was an exhibit here, some sort of graphics on the walls, and the event people said people don't want that in the background of their wedding shots, so no.
Right.
Like, I guarantee you.
I totally understand that. What I'm saying is it's all temporary, right? You put some stuff in the middle that's that way. Like, as they hung stuff and took it down, right? And you can do the same with interesting material, educational material, anything like that. Yeah. So there's no excuse for fully just kind of going like, and here it is. And also, I think the contrasting difference between having a media day that everyone sees and then saying, here's what we think of you, general public, and then letting them in, right?
To nothing.
It's a call. I feel like it's like Card Walker is still around making decisions in the internet age. Like, it's like they froze Card Walker and they brought him back, and he's like, I don't know, just open the damn thing. And they're like, Card, the internet. And he's like, I don't know what that is. Like, no one's going to be mad. Like, they're making decisions like it's 40 years ago or something. Like, it's the weirdest. Well, not 40 because it's not 40 years old, but you know what I mean? Like, it's that it's like, it's PR 101. Like, it's the weirdest fuck ups.
What is going on over there?
I don't know. They're tired of EPCOT. They're tired of dealing with it. They totally, this thing has been 5 years in the making, and they're just like, right? And people change in the background, and all of a sudden they're like, why are we spending so much money on EPCOT? It's full every day. They're not wrong. They're not wrong.
Yeah.
You need a new e-ticket, but then of course that's why you have, 4 rides that are all at like 45-minute waits because there's no high capacity anything anymore. As much as we might sort of besmirch Alan's Energy Adventure, which I actually kind of liked a lot, that was a people eater. Like, it sucked tons of people up. And now those people are standing in a line at best, right? It doesn't work in that sense. They've really kind of screwed the pitch on that. Mickey and Friends meet and greet, though. I think there's been some harping that it's pretty base and blah. And I go back and forth. I think it's okay. It continues the trend of EPCOT having the worst meet and greet locations, in my opinion. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's fine. It's graphics on the walls. It's what you would see at a hotel.
I just wish that
this is no better than what's at the hotels.
I just wish I would have bought stock in vinyl. Like, so much vinyl in these parks now. It's like every wall cling sticker thing is all this is going to
again. If the costumes are going to change based on what the festivals are, maybe that's a way to do it. I would have personally done not vinyl, or if I would have done minimal vinyl, and I would have done map projection behind them so that you can have projected backdrops that change based on season or festival or whatever. You can definitely do media in a bright lit space now. I think there's that's a missed opportunity to
That's
change
really
things
cool.
out, because otherwise, if it's just vinyl, it is what it is, right?
Right. And
So-
the problem with it is they do all these homages to like Horizons and the Fountain of Nations. And I think that there is this misunderstanding, which is a homage does not equal like it's
Content.
not well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's also not comforting when it's like if you gave me a plate with a turd burger on it, and there was a little flag on the top that had like, and it said, In-N-Out Burger. And I was like, you love In-N-Out Burger. And there's a little flag that reminds you of In-N-Out Burger.
But eat your turd burger.
But you got to
anyway.
eat your shit burger. You got to put that shitty burger in your mouth. And then my question is, look, you're making me eat the shit burger. Why would you remind me of In-N-Out? How does this benefit you?
Yeah.
And they're like, here's the butler from Horizons. And I'm like, why'd you put the flag on the shit burger? Like,
right.
I can't fathom.
Because the audience that remembers that, it's going to die out in 10 or 15 years. And then the kids today don't give a shit and they can pull down the vinyl. That's why.
Well, that's true.
I hate to be a cynic, but it's true. It's just like,
that's perfectly fine. I don't even, I think that one of the big mistakes of Epcot was not determining certain things as legacy rides. I think that you needed
what escaped, like Spaceship Earth, maybe, like
that would be it. Kind of.
And the land is
the land,
basically it. Yeah.
But and that's fine.
And like the land, like I know it's great and people love it, but like the other ones,
I love land.
Like World of Motion, Horizons, like Jesus.
I feel like World of Motion would have been the one that should have stayed. It was funny and charming and very visually interactive. I get Horizons not lasting. I know people love Horizons, but there's sort of
I dream of Horizons.
Yeah,
still.
I get it, but it's one of those things that it's hard to show off the future because then the future changes.
Yeah.
But it had such a well stylized, like early '80s, late '70s, like almost solar punk now. Like if you want to,
totally.
It was all like some solar punk fantasy.
Yeah, that one to me, if that had become legacy and lasted another 10, 20, 30 years, it just would have gotten depressing. Well, the future's never going to be that.
Right. And we can't ignore the fact that it was...
But it's like a North Star to head towards. Now everything is dystopian. Like you don't have any projection of anything that isn't like fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And
true.
Right. I mean, it's true.
Well, that's
so to have this, like, again, that's what solar punk is. Like the solar punk movement is like, imagine a better future, things that we can do, and like, there should be a place for that.
That's the chicken and the egg, like
community of tomorrow.
Right. Like the chicken and the egg of, are we creating this because this is now what we read? Or is this what we read? Because, like, I don't know the full answer. I certainly like the more positive future vibe. Clearly it didn't work in film for them. But let's not forget that Horizons also was dwindling in guest interaction over the last several years before it closed. It wasn't exactly being what it needed to be, which was a people eater at the end.
I think like it could have evolved.
Sure, I agree. I think it would have been Horizons
could remain the same, and they could have evolved that technology and done all sorts of things.
The future continues, right? Whatever.
There's so many ways to do that.
Yeah,
it's a shame that we lost that. And again, World of Motion. I mean,
yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think if they would have done something like that, you can then sort of have these foundational staples that sort of, every park needs a Pirates or whatever. And I get it.
I think the futurism, the futurism problem notwithstanding, World of Motion probably would have stood the test of time best, only because you could change the last couple of scenes or the post show.
It's a history lesson.
It's a history lesson.
But Spaceship Earth the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. But the one the one to me that should have been the one that stayed forever and ever and ever is Imagination. There was no reason to tear
of course.
that out at all, because it was completely timeless. There was nothing dated about it, and ImageWorks at the end could constantly be where creative technology is nowadays. That one to me is an absolute crime.
I kind of feel,
and everybody, I mean, that's not a hot take. Everybody misses that ride. But
I mean, that's so funny though about that ride. Like if they'll never do this because they're stupid, but like if they just came back and said, okay, we are demolishing everything and we are going to remake the ride. And we will have newer animatronics and
modern technology,
projection mapping, but it's the same ride. It's the same audio tracks. Like we're not changing anything. We're just bringing it back. People would go crazy.
Yeah.
And kids wouldn't care.
And it would be, to Bry's point, it would be that moment where Epcot has some sort of positivity and outreach to a younger audience of something to aspire to.
Right. Even
if it's make believe and creativity and pretend. Yeah. It still is a viable part of the Epcot messaging. And then to me, that's the biggest one. That is the biggest one to lose, 100%.
Yeah. There's no good time for me to mention it, but I did have this lovely idea this week. If I could do something with the Magic Eye Theater, I think I've decided I want to do a full, The Wild World of Color with Ludwig von Drake 3D show. I just love Ludwig von Drake so much, and I love Red. What's the song? How's it go? It's blanking in my mind, but the Spectrum song.
Red,
yellow,
great.
Red, blue. Yeah.
That would be awesome, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun for it.
But does that mean it would be the horrible in-house, like 1993 computer-generated versions of?
Oh.
Ludwig von Drake.
We'll have to update it a little bit,
like Filler Magic, or
I would love it for it to be this. I would love it for be the aesthetic from the cartoons, the recent ones, but clearly you can't go 2D to 3D that way. But I would love to see Von Drake like bring on Donald as his like experiment person, right? And
they should just show Donald. They should just show Get a Horse on a loop. That's the best.
If they would cut the other two, I would be there every time we'd go. But I have to sit through Piper, and I'm bored of it. It's cute, but I'm like, no, I'm good. Just show me Get a Horse.
Get a Horse is the jam.
Yeah,
it's the best 3D thing they've produced in decades,
for sure.
That and they should just show. Was it Mickey's? What was the one they did where he had the brain exchange that they kind of stopped talking about from the 90s?
Oh, Runaway Brain.
Runaway Brain, yeah, which is great.
That wasn't in 3D, but they could easily convert it.
But they could.
They convert it.
Yeah.
That's the one with the Frank and Mickey. They don't talk about it anymore. It's amazing. It's so good.
Kelsey Grammer as a.
It was a short in front of a Goofy movie, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Correct me, audience, if I'm wrong, but it was a short shown in front of something, a Disney or Touchstone film in the 90s, and it I think you can find it on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah,
if you've never seen it, right, it is bonkers bananas.
It's great.
It is.
It was before a Goofy movie. Mm-hmm.
It was bonkers bananas,
yeah,
and really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
It's pretty. Before the newer cartoons, it was probably the most zany short they had done. And Kelsey Grammer plays a baboon mad scientist, which is great. I don't like a lot of Republicans, but Kelsey Grammer, you get like this weird pass. Just don't talk about stuff. We'll be cool. Communicore Plaza. See, we're talking about everything else because this stuff sucks and we don't like talking about it. This from what I've heard, Communicore Plaza also is bad. There's no shade.
Yeah, that's the thing I can't believe. Like that big grassy area,
it's crazy.
What would I mean, think of the shade structure that was above the center plaza, above like the pin trading and everything. If they'd done one of those tension things, that's all they needed. Yeah. They didn't need they didn't need a hard structure. They could have done sailcloth like they've done before.
Yeah. And they bring out these fucking umbrellas like day 2. Like they always do they're this. Gross.
Why do they? And it's because it got cut somewhere and they basically pawned it off on ops to say, if you want it, you got to put it back in yourself. So this is going to come out of Capitol in another year or two. So I watched the show, the actual Encanto show that's there now, and it's super charming and really cute. And it's weird against that modernist architecture, but you know what? That's going to be Epcot no matter what you put in there.
Right.
But the biggest thing is I cannot believe that it's this big grass lawn to sit and watch a show in the Florida sun without shade. It is inexcusable.
In this day and age. It's crazy
in this economy. Yeah,
it's crazy. So anyway, this is
crazy.
It's yeah. It's like, again, we're getting back to this thing of like, I don't understand. It's like,
well, the other
I
thing
just
is
don't understand
those lighting structures, as beautiful and dramatic as those big arches are. That's part of the reason why they can't have shade, because those would be in the way.
And they get to show those off for half an hour every day.
A whole half an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe it? I think let me be controversial. I think Epcot needs to open at noon and close at 11.
I agree with you. Or later.
Yeah.
I that makes all the sense in the world to me.
It doesn't, I don't get it. And they're going to do something like this as time rolls on, because climate change, baby. This is, we'll see, but I don't know, man. I don't like saying this, but you cannot convince me that Disney still lives in Florida in 60 years. You can't convince me of it. Because if it's 110 there every day.
Florida in 60 years. I mean.
Yeah, we're going to be here. Yeah. But oh, well, that's depressing. I don't want to talk like that. Anyway, let's talk about real quick, because we're already sort of going, we're prattling on. Let's talk about what we didn't get for Project Gamma. So we have the official list of what didn't get made. I want to start, before we even get to there, I want to talk about the excuse of, well, COVID. Fuck that excuse. You are a $1 billion company, and you can make big choices, and you make big choices all the time. And there's no excuse. Again, if certain things don't get made, that's fine. That is a problem of marketing. They shouldn't have said stuff if they didn't have the budget already in place and ready to go. Now, maybe they allocated differently. I get certain things like that. But to just act like we're just going to go, Wondrous China? Wondrous China. What was that? And they just, are going to act like it doesn't exist as a thing they said once is insane in the age of the internet. But yeah, Wondrous China. We don't get Wondrous China, which is weird to me. It feels like China would have paid for that one. They love good propaganda.
Or at least then,
Yeah.
Things are like we just got pandas back,
Yeah.
Like things were pretty dicey for a while there.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy about that, because I now live close to those good old pandas. I saw them. I said goodbye to them.
We have new ones coming to San Diego, right, Brii?
I believe so.
San Diego gets them, and DC, and that was fun too. We went to the zoo in Tokyo, and they have like 3 different pandas in different exhibits, because they're just like close, so it's easier, I think. I don't know, but so no film for China. I like Wonders of China. I think it's pretty good. I'm also a little I did a director's commentary about Wonders of China with the director that you can find online. So I have like a soft spot for that in 360. But at the same time, like, I don't know. This is the weird one. I guess they didn't film any of it, would be my guess. Do we miss this? Is this one we miss? Wonders China?
I mean, it's always nice to have a new 360 film, right? Mm-hmm. They're fine. It would be nice to do. I loved the new Canada one when they introduced that one with
Did you? You really liked that?
I did. You didn't like it?
I didn't think it was very funny. I think it works, but when you put Eugene Levy and the straight man is forgetting Catherine O'Hara's name. I'm going to get in trouble. Yeah, it's Catherine O'Hara. I just didn't think it was very funny. I expected it to be funny.
No, I'm talking about the Martin Short one.
Oh, they changed it.
Is there another new one?
Yeah.
They've redone it again?
Yeah. Where have you been, man?
It's been a while, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not
Canada
funny now,
far
but it
and
was.
wide. Yeah. No, Martin Short's great.
Yeah. Okay.
But he does a whole gag about he's got a fast pass to Soarin', which just doesn't work anymore. It's not a gag that works.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Okay.
But it was also very old. I mean, it's like young Jungle to Jungle era Martin Short. It's very strange. Just get Martin Short to come back.
Is that old?
I think so. I think so. Oh, Canada. I'm looking at
in Jungle to Jungle. I thought that was Tim Allen
and Martin Short. Martin Short's the secondary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerhouses.
Cat Piss. Mimi Siku. Y'all know that's a French movie, right? We remade the French movie.
Yes.
Disney owned the rights.
Jungle to Jungle, yeah.
I think that one was called little native big city, something like that.
Something
probably racist. Martin Short. Oh, Canada with Martin Short. I did that one in 360 4K as well for WWNT when I was there. Let's see. The movie was filmed mostly during 1981. Oh wait, no, that was probably the original.
That was the original.
Hold on.
No, that was the original.
Hold on. I'll figure it out. Because they called it "Oh Canada" twice, so that's why this article is keeping it together.
For sure, it was like within the last 15 years or so.
2007 was the Martin Short.
See, that's
version.
not that old. I guess it is old.
That's old, man.
But not Jungle to Jungle old.
No, no, not Jungle to Jungle old. Thank you.
Jungle to Jungle was in 1997.
See? That's
so you're right.
Years.
It's 10 years. Congratulations. You guys won. I hope you're happy.
All right. So the Play Pavilion.
Do we have... Okay. Sorry, I wanted to do a Corey Burton from Big, Wide. All right, there we go. I'll go over to the Friends Pavilion. Let's see here. Play Pavilion. Big loss. I think
it's a big loss. I think it was the heir apparent to imagination, actually, because of the stuff they were going to do, and it was like hands-on stuff showing kids.
Yeah. Isn't it weird when you have an heir apparent to a thing that's there?
Yeah, right. But you know what I mean? Like it was literally about exposing a young audience to the creative arts industries, like game design and 3D
coding.
modeling and I think it would have been that basically. That was my impression.
What a waste that would be, if anything, these days is to go by.
Yeah, it'll just be an algorithm.
Just AI.
Yeah.
Everything. Sorry, kids.
I think this would have been disappointing. I really think this pavilion.
Play?
Yeah,
I think so too.
I think that we know it was going to be Wreck-It Ralph something, right? And a Zootopia thing.
Edna Mode and Wreck-It Ralph and Judy Hopps, and it was like a city of play.
It looked like Wreck-It Ralph 2, basically.
Yeah,
and I think they would have cheaped out. And that's a space that, by the concept art, you can't really cheap out on. It's got to be a lot of LED, and it's got to feel like something. And
my impression is that the interactives were like the thing over at California Adventure where you learn to draw a character. That show where everybody sits in the bleachers.
Yeah, we do that in Animal Kingdom. So
right,
maybe they would have brought it over.
It was basically that kind of thing, but applied to 3D design and game design and sound, and I guess it was a lot of creative arts. But you're right, it probably would have cheaped out to the point where it was just an indoor playground and that's it. You know what I mean?
And I think it would have how do I put it? I get why we can't really do Epcot Future World anymore. I get that we're moving too fast in technology to make it interesting. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that understanding. But how soon do you have to make those adjustments? And something like the Play Pavilion, boy, it really feels like it. I think it would have leaned younger. I think it would have said this is for kids, toddlers. Yeah. I think it was going to be. I don't think it's a good equivalency, but like Ariel's Grotto at Disney Sea, that level.
And the problem is the thing that would have worked is this park needs that.
Yeah, totally.
Regardless of whether or not it would have been any good, they need that content. They need a kids area.
Yeah,
character meet and greet doesn't cut it.
No, for sure. Festival Center.
Never would have happened anyway. That was architects kissing their own ass. That was there. I mean, there's no way.
No,
a multi-level structure like that. I mean, if you look at the art, there seems to be an escalator on the far end that people would come up to get in, and then either spiral stairs or that's a spiral escalator like the ones you see in Vegas to get people down. But there's just no way that was ever going to have the kind of capacity that park would need and the draw it would create to get up high to see World Showcase. Like, come on. Well, there's just no way.
I think we're all in agreement that there'd be a nice little sign that says, World Festival, Night Festival, Firework, Dinner, whatchamacallit.
$60, right? Yeah. Exactly.
$60 in this economy, $150.
150.
Renting that space out to weddings and corporate events, and it's like the Highline Park in New York, and like that. People are gonna snap that up.
Yeah. Man, I liked Highline.
But it was a piece of architectural masturbation to me. There was no way that would fit in a park like Epcot, except as an upcharge space, like you're saying. Yeah. Like this all leans into the idea that the event people won. They won every single argument for this new stuff.
Yeah. This one hurts the most for me, which is maybe not. Maybe it's close. The UK Pavilion expansion with Mary Poppins attraction. I think all roads lead to the fact that the Mary Poppins attraction would have been underwhelming and pretty much a spinner. So maybe we've been saved. I think it's crazy we don't have a Mary Poppins attraction of some sort in any Disney park. I think that's a little crazy. I like the idea of having Admiral Boone's, house and the Banks's house, and I like all that. I like the idea of cannons going off at the top of the hour, and shaking the windows. Like that's not
all that sounds great.
Yeah, that's not said, by the way. No one's suggesting that that's something they would do, but that's something I would do. Lamplighters, and entertainment, live entertainment in this economy. Forget about it.
And then. The thing is, like a flat spinner indoors with map projection effects, putting you in the world of Mary Poppins is not a bad idea.
No, it would have been the new Returns area, probably a mix of both.
Yeah, I actually think it's a really fun, but it's the kind of attraction that you need to open with a new park. You can't open it as a new attraction. You know what I mean? As an expansion, it just would have got shit on by everyone.
Well, this is what we've always talked about. They treat everything like an e-ticket. And so because they market everything like an e-ticket, everything's treated like an e-ticket, and rightly so, probably.
Because conceptually, I actually think it's a neat idea, and the idea that the concept art showing you stepping through the fireplace or whatever, and obviously it would have been a lot of map projection on the walls of characters, and it's the Royal Dalton Bow sequence from Returns. Okay, I'm here for it. I think it would have been cute.
Sure.
And that park needs more of that kind of ride. That's the other irony of it. This park needs these kind of attractions, but it needs like 5 of them. And one of them, and 5 of these do not an e-ticket make.
It is weird. It is very strange that this, in theory, the cheap ride didn't get made. That's weird to me in the sense of, they put all this money in Ratatouille, which is not really got that great of throughput and isn't very good and is pretty short, and they don't even have a restaurant at the end to make money off of, which is crazy because that's the best part of the Paris one. Brii, any thoughts about UK?
Yes, actually. I know this is a totally unfair comparison, but I was curious, would you guys prefer a Mary Poppins attraction or a Bedknobs and Broomsticks attraction based on your own personal preferences?
Poppins. I never watched Poppins. I watched Bedknobs.
I loved Bedknobs and Broomsticks as a kid. I did love it, but I think Poppins is a better.
I mean, she deserves it, obviously, but I was just curious.
I feel like everyone feels like Bedknobs is a spiritual successor to Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's ever given it its own like love. Well, some fans have, but I don't think
it's a witch fighting Nazis with a bunch of kids. I mean,
it's great. But it's just one of those weird ones that I don't think people like. Sometimes I remember talking to people about that movie and they think it's like a Universal movie. Like it's just this weird sort of. Yeah. It feels like a thing that you make because you see the popularity of Mary Poppins, but you're another studio, right? It's got that. It's like how my brain always thinks The Incredible Mr. Limpet's a Disney movie, and it's not. But like, it feels like one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, he's literally in a Disney ride, so I don't know. That's what's weird.
He is, isn't he?
Isn't that weird?
And in many movies, right? He's got to be.
He might be in it might be in Little Mermaid. I don't know.
Is he in the Apple Dumpling Gang? That's a movie.
Well, Don Knotts is, but not the fish.
Not
Mr. Limpet himself.
They hid Mr. Limpet in is it Little Mermaid?
Yes.
Ride?
Yeah, he's in the.
They hit him in the Little Mermaid ride.
Warner Brothers. It's a Warner Brothers movie. God, I haven't thought about that. The movie always made me sad because he stays a fish.
Yeah.
Did you know they wanted to remake that with Zach Galifianakis like 10 years ago? Isn't that weird?
Okay. I'm
probably tried every single piece of intellectual property that exists, and we hear about probably 20% of the stuff that they actually worked on.
What do you even fight if you're Limpet and it's not World War II? Like, what do you even fight? I don't even know.
Maybe it's a period piece.
Yeah. No one. That period pieces don't make money. Okay.
Oppenheimer begs to differ.
No, you're right. I'm just being shitty. And I'm being a grump. Spaceship Earth, of course, the overhaul. This one's not dead, in my opinion. It's just backed up, and
Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, they'll get to it.
You think so? Okay.
I mean, they're going to update Spaceship Earth at some point.
They have to. Like, there's
it literally is breaking.
It's breaking. You know, they can, as the icon of the park, they can never not have something in there,
right?
And the ride system is so tied to the engineering of that structure that, short of just shuttering it and leaving it as a big dumb ball to look at, which they'll never do,
no,
because people would come with pitchforks and torches. They have to do something with it,
right? The Lord knows, dummies show up and still don't understand there's a ride inside of it.
No, shut up.
Yeah.
Yes,
oh yeah,
many. Oh yeah,
I didn't know there was a ride inside of that.
Shut up.
Yeah,
are
totally.
you kidding me?
No,
of course,
for sure. People don't like. Yeah,
they don't think about it.
Or I bet you they think the other opposite. Like, we thought that was going to be a roller coaster or Space Mountain or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, when in my time there, I heard it called the golf ball. I heard it called the ball, the space ball,
golf ball.
Yeah, all the time.
I met
growing up in Central Florida. Like,
oh yeah.
I can tell you, I've gone there with schools and other things that people have no idea what's in that.
Unbelievable.
I remember hearing people go, well, what's in there? And one said, oh, well, it used to be a ride with Ellen in it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are very dumb.
And most people only go like once every couple of years. They're not like us, right? Most people.
Sure, but the ride hasn't exactly changed that. I mean, it's of consistent rides. It's been there the longest.
I once worked on a project with Kent Bingham, who was the structural engineer for Spaceship Earth, amongst many other things. And I just nerded out and wanted to hear all about it. And evidently in early testing, because, the ride system is one big long chain, right? It connects to itself, basically. And the electric motors basically push it all through. And so it's this giant weight. It's this giant mass moving on that track. And the first time they had it all full of, water dummies and stuff. And the first time they ever did an e-stop to test it, it stopped. It literally stopped on a dime, and the whole building went. And the listeners people aren't watching are going to see this, but the whole building went and like torqued. The entire building, like the whole golf ball, he said torqued by a couple of inches because that is mass, and it had inertia.
It's got to go somewhere.
As slow as it was moving, it had inertia, and that's why the e-stops there are very slow to stop.
Yeah,
because otherwise, if they hit the brakes, the entire building goes.
It's all going to roll.
It's going
to fall off and roll into a little showcase.
Yep.
Question: do you think the Disney company here on this continent have a hope in hell of pulling a Tokyo Disneyland Spaceship Earth on Spaceship Earth?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, sorry, Cosmic Rewind. Cosmic. No. So Tokyo
Start
Disneyland.
Over. Rewind.
Okay.
Strike that.
Very straight.
He's verklempt.
Yeah. So Tokyo Disneyland is bulldozing their Space Mountain to build a new Space Mountain. Do you think that there is a hope in hell that something like that would happen at Epcot?
Not for the exterior. No.
I don't think so.
They can gut the interior pretty easily.
Yeah.
I don't think there's.
But at this point, it's like a historic monument. At this point,
and I don't think that there's there's not a benefit to it for them. Like, they put all those lights on it, and that's one of the best things they did during Project Gamma. So
absolutely, yeah.
I think that they can do a lot. They can do a lot inside. Now, could you convince me that they're going to take a portion in the back off to like get new stuff in? Sure, but I don't think they would start fully.
I don't know.
But as someone who rode recently Space Mountain over in Tokyo, I get why they're demolishing the whole thing.
Oh yeah, it's rough.
It's really rough. The ride's fine if you're used to Walt Disney World or the Magic Kingdom. Like it's just terrible. It's it's the same.
It's awful. Yeah. But it's the Disneyland style seating side by side, but on a track layout that's very much like Florida, single track layout that's like Florida's, and the cars are actually track. It's basically the Matterhorn layout,
which is agonizing.
Yeah. And it's actually, what's funny is the ride vehicles themselves are actually a little smaller than Disneyland's. We found this out because as we were boarding, some very nice ride attendants came up and said,
this story,
we got in the queue. Yeah. And they took us behind a little, I think I told this on the last episode, and they basically, they clocked us for being fat, and they were like, they put us in the test seat to see, and I was like, wow, this is actually smaller than it looks exactly like the Disneyland's rockets, but it's like 3 inches smaller on either side.
It's like they
very snug on the hips.
Yeah, it's like how they figured out how to make 2 work that way. I think by making it a little smaller, and Asians generally are smaller.
My theory for the new one is that it's Guardians.
Yeah,
it's going to be the Guardians system.
Which also
there's going to be a Space Mountain structure in front that is like loading, and then the big show building in the back in that parking lot where all the fun stuff will happen.
That's cool. That sounds so good to me. That's great.
I do too. That ride Guardians is Space Mountain 2022.
Yep.
Can you imagine if California Adventure got it? I mean,
got what?
My God.
As
Cosmic?
What though?
Rewind?
Cosmic Rewind. Yeah.
Oh well, I mean they've already got the Tower Guardians though, so like they would probably do it as another.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I mean,
that ride is just so much fun. Yeah. It is such.
It's great.
It's
really
the best thing for me Disney has done since Flight of Passage.
It'll show up and
it's fun.
It'll show up on the West Coast at some point.
They'll put it somewhere.
System.
They'll theme it as something else. Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
I would do it as if I had my druthers, I would theme it to Wreck-It Ralph and make it Sugar Rush.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
The problem is it's too bright and colorful, like you need darkness and space.
I feel like Inside Out might be good for it.
You're just don't give them
of the human mind really working.
Don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas. They just made $1 billion second best opening weekend. They're gonna take all the wrong lessons from this, and we don't need to encourage them.
Give me a Cosmic Rewind with anxiety, please.
No, oh God, I already have anxiety. Someone said that I remember seeing a post about how they're selling the Inside Out figures at the parks, and all the anxiety figures were out. They're like, "There's no more of them." And someone was like,
"Of course not."
And someone was like, "Who buys anxiety when they're already buying it all day long at Disney?" Like, it seems strange to buy it in its actual form. But yeah. So anyway, let's move on. We are going to talk a little bit real quick. Brii, tell us a little bit about we got a bit of a union. I gave you the union stories. You're on the labor ticket today.
I didn't look at that story.
Okay. So well, I can read it off here. Let's see here. Disney. So this is still Disney World. This is resort related. Food and beverage. Their union is demanding improvements for tipped cast members, and they have concerns about allergies. Now, I think that the allergy stuff comes from the fact that literally Raglan Road killed somebody, and that would be. I get that. I think it makes a lot of sense to have those. But let's just look real quick here. They have a list of 13 problems that this union has suggested solutions for, and this is just a couple of those, according to an article by WDWNT.com. They say problem 1. The problem is that there's an 18% gratuity on parties of 6 or more behind the times. Their solution is that they deserve and demand a guaranteed 20% gratuity on every guest check, regardless of party size. And this includes bartenders and cocktail servers. I am very pro-labor. That sounds insane for me. Like, to just be like, this thing is now 20% more. no matter what.
Yeah.
That's, I think they're shooting high so they can even out in the bidding more.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but also it's because this is just a problem overall that these positions should get paid more, and that we live in a culture that doesn't believe we should tip, and it's like we should because we're not paying enough. It's a snake eating its own tail.
So I came back from
I've worked in the service industry for the past couple of years. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like everyone's struggling to survive, but when you're literally working for tips and it's customer service capacity in this age with inflation and everything else collapsing around us, like no one can survive without at least that additional 20%. Like no one.
So I'm a firm believer in tipping in this country for people that actually give me a service. I think that I've now seen every single Square reader in this country flipped to me and be like, hey, we just gave you a slice of bread we toasted. How about a tip? And I don't know where that tip's going. It's certainly not a jar they share. Right. After Japan though, I think that it's really, how do I put this? I always tip who I need to tip, and I don't tip who I feel like I'm being pushed to tip, right? By systems in place so they can upcharge, right? Not the person. If I can give money to a person, I think that's really important. Or on the thing for the waiter.
I'll go out of my way to tip in cash.
Yeah.
If I have it, because I know they're going to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that there is a bit of, there's the only way to fix this is for us to stop tipping when it is not actually a service, right? When it is like, hey, well now we're like, every time that Square screen turns around and they're like
counter service, it bugs me, but it's also like, I agree with you, they're also getting paid shit.
I don't disagree, but the problem with labor is if you continue utilizing the system the way it is, and you say, all right, barista, I'm going to give you 20% or 10%. They don't unionize. They don't take care of it. Right. Because the system is made to put the onus on me, the consumer, and not the corporation. And the only way for the corporation to be held accountable is for the consumer to be the first front line to have to hurt. To be clear, I understand that this would hurt people, right? And it has to be friction that goes from the bottom up. And there's, I don't know a better way. I truly don't. But my point being here on a larger scale for Disney, like there shouldn't be any tipped people at Disney. They should be paid a fair wage where we're not talking about, you should not go to Disney and be expected to tip anybody for anything. Right. At the resorts are this way unless you push it, right? They're not supposed to, you have to tell them 3 times or something like that. But there should just be this consistent idea that we are paying our cast members enough that they do not need a tipped economy, right? Tipped economy is used to put people down, not to help them up. And I don't know a better way except being the one that kind of goes, you gave me a latte. I'm not sure I can give you, I paid $5. I can't give you $3 because they're not paying you enough. That sounds shitty. I know it does. I don't know the alternative, but I do know I experienced a culture that has an alternative, and it seems to be okay. People seem to make do. But I'm not in the service industry. Bri, I'm sure.
How many cultures even have tipping? Like how many other countries rely on tipping culture? Virtually none that I'm aware of.
Gosh, I don't even know.
Right? We're the outlier.
Well, it's also because most of the countries that don't have it also have socialized medicine and better protections for workers.
The list goes on and on.
This is just capitalism at its worst.
Yeah,
but I don't disagree with you, Nathan. Right. Like it encourages bad behavior on the side of the owners and operators and people who run this shit to keep that up. And it is this it gives this illusion of giving people better pay, and when in reality it really doesn't.
So I've got a couple countries here that there is no tipping.
Only a couple?
Well, no, I mean, this is just Google giving me the top 1,
okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14. So China, which, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sort of under the thumb of a larger entity. Denmark, Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Japan, Belgium, Brazil, French Polynesia, Iceland, Vietnam, South Korea. Seems like most Asian countries. Australia, New Zealand, Spain, Italy, France are the ones they say. So
are the ones that don't.
That don't. I know the UK does.
All of those being countries that have
some
social safety nets and socialist
medicine. Even the communist one doesn't expect you to tip.
Even the communist one.
Even Mao is like, I don't know about tipping. That seems pretty extreme. But let's look at real quick the other things they're asking for. Part-time tipped workers have commitment to this work as a profession, but it does not provide health insurance. They believe the company should offer health insurance to all tipped part-time cast members. Their jobs are careers, and career jobs should provide health insurance. This is directly connected, I think, into the fact that they also have a problem, which is scheduling unnecessary staff results in tipped workers being sent home without pay. Most of the cast member, there's been a huge shift at Disney to get rid of full-time service and go to part-time, which means, of course, they don't have to give insurance and they don't have to do what's right and they don't have to take care of their people. So I mean, I think I'm all for the union getting everything they want except for the 20% gratuity. I think that should be on Disney's side. If you raised everything by $1, you would pay that off easily. So I don't know, thoughts about the rest of that? I think we're all sort of in agreement.
I mean, I think that they're fighting for tooth and nail for anything at all.
I think
because realistically the likelihood of them converting over to a system without tipping is pretty small at this point. And right now,
not without
these people need money, So.
With management being horrible, and the worst type of human beings, which are those who act like they care and actually do not benefit from a system, especially that doesn't. I think that they should just all go on strike. I think I would love to see. I mean, you know what? And people kind of clutch their pearls in America about, Disney workers on strike. Like, what would that be like? And it's like, go to France. Like those Disney workers are on strike. Like, I don't know. They basically made an official parade for strikers at one point. I mean, the labor parade, the magical labor parade. I'd go watch La Libertad.
Love that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to another union thing. This is a Disneyland one. Cast members accuse Disneyland of unfair labor practices over a union button rule. So basically the way it works out is there are a coalition of unions representing 13,000 CMs over at Disneyland has filed charges against Disney for disciplining employees for wearing their union buttons. Disney says that you can't wear anything that's not part of your costume, and the labor unions say you are going against the legal right for people inside of a union to basically recognize their union, I think is the way they talk about it, right? It's so they can't basically hide the fact, you can have a union, but you can't talk about it. You can't say anything about it, right? That falls under the rules of, yes, you must be able to do that. Disney, I don't know what your fucking deal is. I don't give a shit if people wear union buttons. That sounds great.
Yeah. This is a flex of trying to control image. And it's like, there's a certain point these are real people and they're allowed to have a modicum of identity beyond their name tag.
I think the key here, and I think we'd all agree with this, is now at Disney, you can be a male person, and I do mean this as a male that wants to wear a skirt, and that is allowed by Disney, right? You can be a female that wants to wear pants, and that's allowed by Disney. You can show your tattoos. You can, yay. right? Pride, hey, yay. And then they're like, oh, we want to show our union buttons. And they're like, fuck no. Like, it all leads back to class and labor, as it always does.
Yeah, it's not about perception. No. It's entirely about, again, sequestering unions into little boxes and keeping them fucking quiet.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
So Disney loves to talk about how special they are and how they get to, their CMs get to be who they want to be. Of course, unless that is a part of a labor union, then that goes back. That's classic Disney, though. We gotta respect Disney for holding up the Walt tradition of hating unions. That is as old as
tale as old as time.
Yeah, right. Let's speak of something that is new, actually, though, which is over at Universal, who have no bad news this week because they're doing fun things, including Sensational, their new show. Cine, Sensational, which is, of course, their water / drone / projection / minimal firework extravaganza at Universal Studios this summer, representing all of their properties except for Men in Black. Sorry,
it's not. Well, yeah, but it's not really theirs.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's not theirs.
Maybe the contract doesn't exist for that.
No,
I got a little sweaty. I was like, "Oh, what's this portend?" Like, whew, I don't know.
No. It's fine for now. Don't worry about it.
Cool.
It's. I know that Sony's not hot on hyping that brand much. I don't think that ride is. I don't think the ride's in peril at the moment. I think it's good for a while. They've got a refurb scheduled in like November.
Cool.
So. And they already refurbed a bunch. They refurbed the Big Bug. They put in all new lighting. They need it.
Yeah,
until they put
in
another people eater at that park, they can't get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's more has to do with licensing of what they
showcase.
Like entertainment is probably not part of it.
Right.
I bet you what happened was because they had to go back to the Sony well for Ghostbusters, right?
Right.
And Ghostbusters isn't in the park anymore, but they wanted it in this. And I'm sure they have a master agreement with Sony, and they went through the brands, and they were like, Men in Black were soft selling because we're not pursuing it as a franchise. This is my gut. This is not
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. This is just them going international didn't do what we wanted, so we're going to ban it. We're putting all our energy into Ghostbusters, so focus on that.
Right.
I'm sure that's what it is. But I watched it. It's funny. I was actually in Orlando last week, and I was there the night that it was the media preview, and I didn't know about it until it was like halfway through. Otherwise I would have called up friends and asked to go, but I heard it. I was over in City Walk having drinks at the Red Coconut for Pride Night. Woo woo.
There you go.
And, with a bunch of folks, Alicia and Skipper Haas and all of our friends and Joe, our good friend Joe, who listens to the podcast. He was there with me. Anyway, I heard it going on and went, oh fuck, I should have made a phone call. Anyway, I watched it on video and it's really good. It is a solid show. I like the orchestrations are really lovely, and the way it's thematic, not brand based. So it's like, it's not here's Jurassic Park and then here's Twister and then here's E.T. and then here's the Mummy. It's like, here are scary villains.
Oh.
Here are friends.
I kind of got that. One of my critiques was that I felt it was a little hodgepodgey. But maybe you're right. I need to rewatch it.
It's grouped together as like to me in musical themes about character tropes, not necessarily brand. It kind of went.
I mean, Jaws to Transformers was a weird transition for me.
That was a weird one. Yeah, that's a weird transition. And the fact that Jurassic Park and the Mummy sort of shake hands a lot in the first part was a little weird.
Why?
Because I think it's about creatures, and the Jaws would have fit there. But anyway, I'm not going to pick apart the show because by and large, it's great.
It's the best. It's probably the best they've ever had. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, I obviously I'm friends with people like Micah Yellow who worked on it, and Jason McManus from Think Well. They worked on it as well, and it's beautiful. Yeah. I think it's the best version of a show they've had in that lagoon for sure.
Easily.
And I can't tell this by watching it on video. I have one minor critique, but this is probably logistic and operational, not creative. I love the drones. I thought the reveal of the drones was really great. The lightning bolt for Back in the Future in particular was pretty great.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the drones have a wider range of movement. I wanted to see them in different areas. I wanted to see over here and then over here, and different groupings of drones like show up. And then I thought, okay, that's probably the only spot they got approved for them to be in the air. Right. Like that it boils down to logistics. And I'm sure they have to, once they get this show under their belt and show that they can operate them without dropping on people or whatever, maybe they'll be able to expand that range of influence of where the drones are. I wanted to see it across the whole skyline above the park, but that's what I wanted, not necessarily a flaw of the show. What they did with the drones was very, very clever. The first reveal of it being Hiccup and Toothless at the face-to-face pose, like in the poster, you can literally hear people in the video like, oh, like it's a great first reveal of it, you know. And then the Universal logo at the end is great. I thought it was good. I thought it was a really solid show. It's, you know, it's World of Color. It's World of Color with drones. That's fine, but that's fine. It's a new. That's the format.
If Disney was smart, they would have done that at EPCOT, but they didn't. So,
but they didn't.
Brii, your thoughts?
It is World of Color
with drones.
I really love it. I honestly, out of all the nighttime shows, this is the one, and not just because it has Jurassic Park, but this is the one that
helps.
am most excited about seeing. It does help, especially because they use the Lost World theme, actually, in addition to Jurassic Park, which is. But I thought it was fantastic. Like I really, really loved watching it, and I generally don't care for those type of shows, but I think it looked fantastic. Do you think that Universal has designed Epic Universe to have a more articulated and expansive drone component to their nighttime entertainment?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that show, but I would predict that. Possibly the roof of the hotel is a launch point, because then they can have that whole width of the hotel as
real smart
as a flying area. But I don't know that for sure. I don't know what they're doing there, but I bet there's a lot more neutral areas in between the lands. Where they can have stuff, because you just can't have it over guest heads is the thing. So
totally.
And not even, it's not even unsafe to do when they fall. They're lightweight, but it's just erring on the side of caution on the FAA's part. So.
I loved the Back to the Future segment. I loved the Jaws segment. I thought the Ghostbusters segment was a bop. I never really kind of found this about Universal until now, which was Universal has at best some instrumental moments that connect with people, but their library of music, right? Like Disney has such a monopoly on quality, memorable music to pick from, and that stirs emotion easily. And it's just interesting to, like, you know, when you have to throw in a Cyndi Lauper tune because you're like, we don't have a movie that's got a good, like, you know, like we've got to just come up with another way of doing it because we don't have a Let It Go or something to throw out there. I don't think that's a problem. It's just a unique problem with Universal shows is they kind of are limited on their ability to evoke emotion through the musicality. But I think that when they
was Cats Universal?
Was Cats?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the movie was, but the score is all
the rights are not,
right.
Of course.
Yeah. That actually would have been great.
Yeah.
I'd
love to see it and
only use clips.
Just a big,
only use clips from the butthole.
Yeah,
cut.
just a big butthole. Just a big cat butthole and a tail. Just Mr. I don't know the show well enough. Let's see here. I'm trying to pull out a cat from who you got? Who's in there? What's a cat name from Cats? I went to Mr. Tumnus, and that's not right.
Timothy Chalamet?
No, who's the cat? What's the name of the cats in Cats? Don't we know any cats from Cats names? I'm too
Griselda.
How am I with two gay men and nobody knows?
Grisabella.
Oh God, does the older gay have to step in
Please.
here? Grisabella.
Okay.
Yeah.
Skimbleshanks.
Skimbleshanks. Right. I want to see a Skimbleshanks butthole shooting water.
Mr. McCavity.
Thank you, Mr. McCavity.
Okay.
Yes.
During Pride Month, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
Can I say that movie's actually kind of a guilty pleasure for me? Because I loved that musical when I was 10. Like, I understand that it's a much hated musical, and there's a lot of reasons to not like it, but it was pretty groundbreaking for what it was. But I saw it when I was like 10 years old, and I just imprinted on it and loved it, and I can sing every word for you right now. And so when the movie came out, as cringe-inducing as a lot of it is, I was still like, I kind of love this. So I'm one of the few people actually. Although, have you heard about the new one? It's called the new production of it, live production in Broadway. It's called Cats the Jellicle Ball, and it's basically it is the choreographer does drag balls.
Oh,
so it's very and the costumes are not overly cat-like. They're like cat bounding, basically. Like, they're very cool streetwear that might be cat-like, and it's select songs from the show, not the whole thing. And it's done with a very, very, street style choreography and ball style, clack, 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 clack kind of choreography. I've seen 2 or 3 clips, and it looks amazing. And I have a friend who already saw it and said, this is the cats we deserve now after everything. And evidently it's like a refresh of the whole thing. And I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. Because I always love the music. It's the costumes and the set and everything. I always get the short end of the stick from people.
Yeah. And those aren't easy costumes. I had a friend that was in the Broadway show, and it's a lot of work to get on a skin tight catsuit every night. Especially when you're not in the Avengers. Boy, that's a reference. Not the Avengers you all thinking of. Other catsuits. Let's move on to Dave. You went to the preview center. You mentioned you were at Red Coconut. Let's talk about the.
I did.
Epic,
I got a lovely
center.
little Epic Universe coffee mug here, and I got a Dark Universe hat and a Dark Universe AirPods case and a Dark Universe patch for my jacket. And
are you excited about Dark Universe by any chance?
I'm maybe a little excited about Dark Universe. I've already told my friends, I'm like, this is going to be my entire personality when this park opens. So, I did work on Dark Universe for a hot minute, just a little bit at Thinkwell. I mostly worked on the Potterland and on attractions that actually are not in the final park. I worked on stuff that didn't make it, basically, back in 2018, 2019, when Thinkwell was working on it a little bit. So I knew most of the park already. I knew all the attractions. I knew the land and the layout. So none of it was necessarily new to me, but it was nice to see the model. We all love giant models. The model's enormous. It's really, really big. It is just a model with a shop around it. It's not like the IOA Preview Center where you had all these cool little rooms to walk through, a little walk-through mini attraction about the park. Again, that's not a flaw of the new Preview Center. It's just they did this really cool thing once, and they did something different now. The way they're activating the model is
the AR
of interest to me. Of interest to me now, because that's kind of what I'm working in now, is augmented reality. And so you scan a QR code on the way in and download this new app, and you hold it up to the model, and you see 2 things. You see people walking around, or 3 things really. You see people walking around. You see sort of fantasy elements over and above, like dragons flying above dragons and thestrals flying above the ministry and stuff like that. You see sort of lighting effects coming up out of Celestial Park, like the beacons coming out of the portals. And then when you pointed at some of the show buildings, which are there in the model, you see sort of a fantasy version of what the ride will be like. When you pointed at the Mario Kart one, it's just a piece of the Rainbow Road. It's not an accurate layout of the dark ride. It's like, here's the Rainbow Road, some Mario Kart racers on it, and it just comes to life. It's neat. It's a very basic use of AR. I can't really ding them too much. There's only a lot you can do on a space that big, but I kind of wanted to see, and this is probably just the thing about that AR is it will evolve, and there'll be more later on, because like there's 2 whole attractions, the Potter attraction and one other one, Dark Universe, that don't show anything when you point them up.
Oh, interesting.
And this is coming soon. So they'll roll those into the app. What I hope they also roll into the app, because once they start getting footage of the rides, is that above that, it would be nice if like video popped up in a little window or something, and you saw concept art and video and more about the content. Right now it's pretty thin. there's not a lot to the AR, but that's the beauty of something in an app is they can add to it as things not only get finished, but as they get approved.
Yeah.
There's probably corporate approvals like crazy with DreamWorks and Warner Brothers and all of that for that stuff. So I'm rambling, but it's good. It's a solid view of the park. People were very excited. I went the first day it was open. The AR's nice. I wish it did a little more, but maybe they'll be adding that stuff later.
Yeah. You're also sort of like part of the 3% that know that there could be more in AR. It's
true.
going to impress a lot of people.
That's true. I mean, in the game that we have out now, the simplest thing gets the oohs and ahs from people. There's one, a lot of our story scenes we show on these Rorschach cards that you hold your phone up and the Rorschach card bleeds into an animation and people lose their minds. And I'm like, okay, mapping video onto a flat plane on a card is the easiest thing to do in AR. Yeah. AR's been around for 10 or 15 years, but I keep forgetting that. Yeah. Like most people don't know what AR is. I just spent yesterday and today at a big AR convention here in Long Beach and I wore tons of different headsets and saw all the new hardware and saw all this cool stuff. And people come to our booth and play our little game, and which you can play on a mobile device. You don't need a headset. It's on a tablet or a phone, and they lose their minds over the simplest AR stuff. And that's the fault of not the phone companies, but there's never been a killer app for AR. So yeah. I love that we're finally seeing it. As tepid as the stuff for the park is that I saw, it's a step, and it is educating the audience of what AR is capable of doing, because it literally is on your phone right now. It's on 2 billion mobile phones on the planet already, and it just goes really underused. So the fact that Universal is leaning into it is a good step.
Yeah.
Dave, when do you think we'll see more AR integrated into the parks, and how do you think that's going to take shape?
Well, Mario Kart was the first, right?
Right.
Mario Kart and they built that from the ground up, so good for them. It's not perfect, but I believe the one in Florida will be even better than the two they've already built. They're going to, they've probably advanced it a little, and those improvements may ripple backwards to the other ones. I just rode it the other day again here in Hollywood, and now that I've ridden it 4 or 5 times, the first time you ride it, it's chaos. There's so much going on. But the more I ride it, the more nuance I see. And the more I see that there's moments where they do gags that start I saw a painting in the hallway of the haunted hallway that falls off the wall and lands on the ground. And that is a map projection gag on the wall of the painting falling. It lands on the ground in AR, tracks with your head until a character goes, picks it up and plasters it back on the wall when it reappears in projection in the room. And that's like, that's hard to get those things to talk together and work together seamlessly like that. So, people might be poo-pooing Mario Kart for a lot of reasons. It was the first, and it deserves a shit ton of respect for what they're trying to pull off there. Yeah. And so to your point, when are we going to see more of it? Well, I think you're going to see specialty use cases of it like Mario Kart. You might see another ride or two that attempt to use things like that, because what you have in a ride or a show is a walled garden, and it's much more controllable in terms of AR. The kind of AR that the park map is doing, like, are we going to see stuff in the park where you can use your mobile device? Like, yeah, Disney's doing a little bit of that with the app. They do it a little bit with the Batu Bounty Hunters. It's not true AR, but it's close. They're seeing the targets behind the doors and stuff. I don't think you're going to see a really wide adoption of AR until it's what I call the iPhone 3G moment, right? When the iPhone came out, everybody was like, why would I spend my money on this expensive iPhone when I love my BlackBerry? Womp womp. We saw where that went. But that didn't happen until the iPhone 3G. And the reason for that was cost. It had come down way down in cost, much more approachable to everybody. Network speed, 3G meant it was because the networks had gotten faster that year. And most importantly, network connectivity meant you can have an app store, and they didn't really have an app store before that one, right? So, and the use case for your phone became not just a toy because it has an Apple branding on it, but everybody wanted it because it can do all this other stuff. And so, when the headsets become not a pair of ski goggles but look like your regular eyeglasses, and are cheap enough for all three of us to have it when we go to the park together, and the network's fast enough so that all three of us see the same Smurfs running around on the ground that we can kick and play with. You know what I mean? Like totally. that nexus point of those things is not going to be there for a while. Yeah. In terms of the hardware, and the parks are not going to provide it for you to like walk around. They'll put it in a walled garden like a ride or a show for sure. I think you're going to see 2 or 3 more Mario Kart style evolutions before we see it widely adopted. But the minute it becomes that product that I'm talking about, where we can say to, I can look at it as a park operator and say, like we know how many people have a mobile phone in their pocket in a park, we can say, okay, 20% of the people wearing sunglasses or eyeglasses today have this layer that we can engage in, but that's a ways off. Yeah. I want to take advantage of it too. And it will get there. I mean, the scary part of all of that is if it's in the hands of somebody like Apple, there's going to be a modicum of walled garden hardware to it. And it's not going to be, but the problem with Microsoft and Google in that space is it'll all be driven by advertising, because they don't own the hardware, right? The hardware, that's why Apple, and I'm not here to be an Apple fanboy. Right. I'm just saying, look, there's a reason that security and privacy on Apple's a little better, because the company that's making it is not also making shit tons of money off of advertising, which Microsoft and Google are. Right. And so that's the hard part about AR is it's going to be, am I going to have to close out advertising windows every 5 fucking seconds because I'm wearing my AR goggles? There's a whole, there's a dystopia to it that I'm well aware is going to happen as well. Yeah. But from an experience standpoint, I think there is a lot of power to the sort of magic window quality.
I mean, I'm excited for Disney to get it to a place where I can put my phone up and it can tell me that I need to buy Genie Plus if I would like to see the AR. I'm excited for that.
Watch this advertising and we'll give you Genie Plus for free.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on to something for our 69th episode. Well, it's 69th. The 69th episode. Let's get sexy, y'all, because it's time for our 69th edition of Sploosh Mountain. Okay, y'all, we have got, I'm going to read a little something from, to celebrate 69th episode, I'm going to read a little something from David Koenig's book, Mouse Tales. Just a little thing from him about Disneyland and a good old sexy time called grad night, which if you know anything about that, it's of course when, I believe it was it high schoolers that went to grad nights? It was like, right before the summer. Was that the whole point?
Like seniors.
So for couples, grad night is more an amorous. Is it amorous? I think that's how you say it. Occasion. At the end of the night, we'd find pantyhose, panties, and condoms all over the motorboat ride, said the hostess. Kids would jump off onto the islands or behind the bushes. It got to where we wouldn't run the motorboats or America Sings on grad nights because people would only go there to fall asleep or make out. Guests seem to get more amorous in the late hours of the evening as the crowds grow thin. Couples will go at it wherever they find themselves alone, whether they're in their own monorail cabin or on the floor of the submarine, faintly illuminated by red lights, yet unseen by the operator in the sail. Late at night on the Pirates of the Caribbean, most of the boats are sent out near empty. This was a time in the history of the parks where that was the case. Near empty, promising excitement on the control tower monitors as the hidden cameras capture the various stages of passengers' journeys and lovemaking. One summer night, near closing time, the dispatcher in the Pirates Tower couldn't believe what he was seeing on the monitors. "Get up here, you guys," he called to his coworkers. Since the ride was empty, the entire crew gathered to watch the couple enjoying themselves from screen to screen. By the time their boat returned to the dock, the couple was fully clothed and all workers had lined up to meet them. "You know, it's really late," smiled the dispatcher, "and well, my crew would really like to thank you a lot for making our night. Here are your tickets back." And they gave them their tickets back for Pirates. The embarrassed couple fled. So we are talking sexy business in the parks. We have a couple stories from people. that they submitted. And we've got 2 that we are going to go over. One of them is anonymous. I'm going to make both anonymous just because I don't know about the other one. I'm going to paraphrase the first one a little bit. It's quite long, but it's very good.
It's not the length; it's the girth.
Yeah, that's what scares me. 20 years ago this weekend, I attended my first gay day weekend at Walt Disney World. I was 32 at the time, and about 6 months out of a 6-year-long relationship. It was my first solo trip anywhere, and I wanted the trip to be the mark of a fresh start. In the few months leading up to the trip, they say that they were on an old website and the forum, and they met some people and chatting a couple guys up, and they all decided to meet up at Pleasure Island, which of course is now Disney Springs, to start the weekend on Thursday night. I met and partied with them at 8-Tracks and Mannequins. So there you go. That labels it.
Oh God! Wow.
One of the men, I'll call him Mark, and I hit it off particularly well. He was blonde and tall and handsome with a touch of a southern drawl. At one point in the evening, Mark and I, plus 2 others in the group, went into the bathrooms of Pleasure Island and snorted some cocaine in a stall. Woo-hoo! I was the first of 2 times I had ever tried cocaine. It woke me up and liberated my already horny mood with Mark. Mark and he continued to dance the night away, getting closer and closer. And he says he invited him back to the hotel. And then, of course, they were at a downtown Disney Good Neighbor hotel that had a hot tub. So he filled up the tub, and Mark set out 2 lines of Coke, one for me and one for him, and they did Coke again. Hot tub fun ensued, including cocaine and alcohol consumption. And basically, they were somewhat intimate for a few hours, thanks to cocaine, which they took more of. They watched the sun come up and had breakfast and met their friends at Animal Kingdom for park opening. At this point, he says, I was awake over 24 hours, again, cocaine. When it wore off, I drove back to my hotel and slept. On the Sunday night of the weekend, I met up with Mark and friends again at Pleasure Island. Around midnight, Mark invited me back to his and his friend's room at Port Orleans French Quarter, where some more cocaine was offered. His friends came back a bit later, and we all wound up going to the hotel's main pool. It was closed for the night, but there was a couple of people who were taking a dip, so we went in too. Perhaps 7 or 8 adult men all together in the pool. We splashed and played while we were in the water, and a security guard let us know that it was okay, even though it was after hours, as long as we were quiet, and he let us be. On the other side of the deep end, I noticed a dark-haired, handsome, and bearish man alone and went over to him. Let's call him Steve. Steve was sweet and shy, but also sexy and horny. I don't know if he knew I was high, but the cocaine made me very bold in my directness about how much I wanted to have sex with him. Perhaps the statues of partying Mardi Gras alligators situated around the pool helped set the mood, but I took he says some French here. I'll just say it was kind of a laissez-faire to heart. He says laissez les bonnes temps rau. I'm not French, sorry. We laughed and splashed each other in the water, and while flirting, I suddenly had an idea, and I acted on it. I dipped under the water, pulled his shorts down, and proceeded to, well, you can guess. He goes into more detail there. For as much as it shocked him, I think it shocked me even more. Never had I been this bold about anything sexual before, and I was also very acutely aware that this was a pool at Walt Disney World, a family resort destination. Clutch my pearls! When I came up for air, Steve's broad smile told me that he really liked it, and I went under the water again. If you think about it, though, it doesn't make much sense to give a blowjob underwater. For one, the giver can't breathe. For two, the receiver is already wet. I don't know. But again, cocaine. We went back to the hotel and spent the night together. That was a true vacation fling. We tried keeping in touch, but it fell off quickly. He said he was friends with Mark for many, many years, and never fear, he never got a cocaine habit because of all of the cocaine that time. He never really went for it in the future. But sadly, Mark passed away a couple years ago after an illness. But it looks like they both found sobriety in the 2000s, and so it was all good, and he still thinks back to those literally Pleasure Island times.
Can you feel the love tonight?
So there we go. Sexy story. We love a sexy story. We're gonna
Who doesn't love a good hotel blowjob?
Who doesn't?
I mean,
who doesn't love a good old poolside blowjob, underwater blowjob? Talent to say the least. And we're happy to hear that that was a slight adventure with cocaine, but not a continuing journey.
That is some extra magic. That is some extra magic hours right there.
Yeah, that pixie dust costs money. All right. So we'll go on to story 2 here. This is, hello, rats. Not a CM, but boy, do I have a story. My high school marching band would take a trip every 4 years to march in the parade through the Magic Kingdom, and then would add a few days on for us all to go to the parks as well. My trip was during my freshman year in high school. On our day in Epcot, my friend group went to ride Maelstrom, never forget, and then stuck around for the video afterwards. Congratulations. You watched the post. You watched the Norway video. That's so many people did not. There was one couple in the same grade as me that got so handsy during the movie that a cast member stopped the video, turned all the lights on, and made those two wait there until one of the chaperones could come and collect them to make sure it didn't happen again. They were contained for the rest of the time in the parks, but boy, did they fog the windows up on the 16-hour charter bus ride back to the Chicago suburbs. Love the show. So there you go. Back away. Yeah. So there you go. Dave, I think you're muted. No, that's
sorry.
okay. I get it. You're clutching your pearls. So much of that. So you gotta mute.
I'm right.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm making lots of heavy breathing. I'm listening like a pervert. So I'm like,
if there's anything I know about you, Dave, it's that you love stories about straight sex. Big fan. Big fan.
Well, I did spend many years looking at solely straight porn before I knew that anything else existed, right, Brii? We all did.
Yeah, I know.
You do what you got to do.
You get what you can get.
That's basically watching half the porn.
I found my dad's magazines, but to my dismay, they were not the photo ones. They were like the erotica ones. They were like Penthouse Variations.
What a fancy dad!
I'm like, God damn it, Dad!
Fancy dad!
Artsy fucking Dad! Come on, at least show me something.
Right. No, you had hooked on. You're like, I need hooked on phonics. I need to learn to read. Damn it! God, now I got to figure out how to. What is this word? Son, why do you have Webster's out? Don't worry about it. I don't know what.
Dad, I'm looking up what felching means.
CLIT. Anyway, so there you go. There's 2 stories. Dave, you said you had a story that you'd like to share. I'm sure you have more than one.
I
but
do.
Go ahead.
Mine's kind of short, but like this actually happened. So I was a tour guide at Universal, as many of you know, for many years. And, there's 4 cars to those trams, and you do, depending on the time of year, you would do anywhere between 2 and 4 tours a day. And so on a busy summer day, if you did like 4, maybe even 5 tours, that was a lot. Like that's when the park's open from like 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m., and you're going out on a tram to a fucking dark back lot at like 9 p.m. and there's nothing out there. Nowadays it's all lit, but this is in the dark ages when the tour was, what it was, without a lot of 60th anniversary stuff added on top of it. So often you would get like half full trams, right? You would have people in the first 2 cars, or very sporadic all through 4 cars, but they wouldn't be completely full because they would sit them around in the loading area and wait for enough to be able to show up. But late in the day, a lot of people were already on the tour. Not a lot of people waited for it. One time though, so there's a couple of spots on the tour where the tram makes kind of a 180 where it goes in a cul-de-sac, and you would always make a joke about, all right, front car, wave to the fourth car, it's the only time you're going to see him this time, right? Which is one of the things I do love about the new projected Kong on the tour, is that the dinosaurs actually chomp an unseen 5th car and tear it to shreds and kill everyone. Makes me laugh. So, so yeah, and often like on a busy day, the fourth car would often be a second language tour with a different tour guide. It was called Fourth Car Foreign. They would say, "Hey, Dave, you're on turn on the left, fourth car foreign," and you knew your fourth car was somebody else. Fourth Car Foreign, by the way, was the name of our tour guide based improv group. In 1987 through 89, Fourth Car Foreign, because you need a weird name, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So I'm on this half full tour. It's like 8 or 9 at night. Nobody really wants to be there. These are people who either saved the tram for last on the tour for last on purpose, or forgot they were going to do it, or are doing it again. So your tour's a little looser and a little sillier.
Something to do instead of go home.
Exactly. And so we are at a point of the tour, I don't even remember where it was in the back lot, where we do a 180 and the tram turns around, and the tram is so lightly filled that there's only 2 people in the fourth car, in the very last row of the fourth car, prone on the row, legs in the air on the row in front of them.
Wow.
He is facing backwards on the tram over her, fucking her into next week. But I don't see it in time, and I'm like, okay, first car, time to say hi to the people in the fourth car. And he is flailing away. They decided we're going to get a car on our own.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Basic Instinct. Now we're passing the Basic Instinct part of the tour.
Yeah. And so, of course, everybody in the front car freaked out. And I get off the mic and I look at the driver like, what are we going to, he's like, we got to radio it in and let him know. And so they called ahead. And when we got to the tram unload, there were security guards there to pull them off the tour and kick them out. I mean, it's at 9 o'clock. They've already seen the park for the day. Like they're like, woohoo, we got away with it, But yeah, it was very unexpected to see the wasn't fourth car foreign. It was fourth car fucking. Fourth car fucking. Fourth car fucking. There's the episode title right there. Yeah. Fourth car fucking.
Gonna have to put an asterisk somewhere. That's the only way that's gonna get. That's the only way that gets by the censor. You feel the love tonight.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh god.
So good.
So yeah.
Very good. Well, there you go. There's some 69s. You know what? We've yet to get go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, while I have not had full inflagrato in a theme park, I will say back when the Sky Buckets went through Disneyland, that was the heavy petting makeout spot because you were pretty private and you only had like 2 minutes. So if you were going to seal the deal, it was going to be really quick. But I had plenty of makeout sessions and heavy petting and groping on board the Sky Buckets all the time. Not just grad night, like all the time.
I mean, I have a wife. She has breasts. We've been on people.
Yeah.
We've been on the people mover. I mean, there's a tunnel.
Yeah.
Right? That's the point.
Exactly.
Yeah, but nothing.
There's some people moving.
There's some people going on. But yeah, no, just a casual. I think I remember hearing a story once of 2 lesbians getting caught fingering each other on Spaceship Earth. So there you go. That's something. Smile.
I don't know why that's funny, but I love it.
I feel like that happens.
Oh, sure. Spaceship Earth, especially.
All the time.
Especially Spaceship Earth. That was like.
And the thing is, for those of you in the audience who think that you're in the dark in any dark ride, you are not. You are bathed in UV light with infrared cameras. They can see exactly everything you are doing.
I mean, they expect you to
how dark you think it is
to give a dick or a boob a squeeze. That's the point.
The people watching the security cameras often have like little contests of how many they saw that day, and
Yeah, you're just helping out. Give a squeeze.
Yeah. My first boy on boy kiss was on a dark ride.
Interspace?
I know, right?
I think you talked to
No, it was Interspace. It was on Adventure Through Inner Thigh.
Through Intercourse.
Through Inner Blouse.
Yeah.
Adventure Through Intercourse. Yeah, I had my first boy and boy kiss with an older boy. Too. I was like 15.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I was 16 and he was like 18, which, statute of limitations is fine.
Yeah.
It's but he was.
I mean, you can do that when you're miniaturized. It's not a big deal. The rules don't apply.
It's not a big deal. Everybody's tiny. Yeah.
You're in the blood.
Like international water.
Yeah. It's like it's a bloodstream or whatever. It's fine.
Oh,
that's fine.
Yeah,
not a problem.
Talk about size doesn't matter.
And with that, we go to our favorite segment of this and every week, and of course, that is the Asuter Computer Poem of the Week.
That's why I'm a router for me computer. Everybody needs a friend.
Oh, Asuter, happy 69th episode. Maybe Asuter, you could give us a little something, one of the stories that we talked about today. Do you have anything about that, Asuter, that we could, kind of go over? Let's see if the Asuter has anything for us here. Lovers whispered night, pirate boats and hidden shores, secret thrills ignite. All right, thank you, Asuter. We appreciate all that you do.
That was Asuter After Dark.
Asuter After Dark.
There.
I would say some of Asuter's finest work as well.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would agree.
I've been running his algorithm on old penthouse letters. So
I never thought this would happen to me.
Guess what? It didn't. God, I remember kids. There was a time where they would make books of those and they'd sell them in Barnes and Noble. And now and then you would just casually take one into the bathroom. So there you go. That's what happens. Y'all have to read up what a book is. With that, I should mention I have a new venture, a little educational thing that I'm doing, an academic pursuit in many ways. I have this week released the theme park sound or theme, excuse me, I don't even know the own name of my thing. The Theme Park Audio Archive on YouTube. It's a channel. For years and years and years, I've collected tons and tons and tons of stuff, and I've shared them online with people in the past, but it's always been weird MP3s and all sorts of stuff. And I wanted to make it very easy to kind of get everything. So it's just years of putting things together, finding stuff online. And I'm really just organizing the work of tons and tons and tons of people over multiple years putting this stuff together. But I think it's been a real success. We've got like almost about 2,500 people that have subscribed. You can check that out if you are so inclined and like long, cool background playlists. That's at youtube.com/ at Theme Park Audio Archive. So you can find that. It's pretty rad. I'm very happy with it. And there'll be more stuff. We just released a bunch of music from the Super Nintendo world. And I know for a fact that it's legit because I had somebody ask me who works for Universal, hey, we shared this stuff. How did you find this? Like, where did this come from? Some of this is better than what we got. So it's legit. Check it out. And so far, so good. Here's something I have noticed. Basically Disney has copyrighted all their music, which is great. I have no issue. It's a nonprofit. I'm not even looking for attention. There's no comments, there's no likes, there's no nothing. It's just for the purpose of sharing with people. And, Disney's got that down, but there's really no copy strikes anymore for this kind of stuff because guess what? Everyone's filming their trips to the parks and they put it up online and it's not good. It's good publicity for Disney. They don't want those videos taken down. So that's good. Universal, they don't give a shit at all. I'm not even getting like, we recognize this music for stuff. So Universal's just out there being, Bart Simpson on a skateboard once again, just like, yeah, man, find us on SoundHound. Okay. Anyway, check that out if you want to. And then of course you can find everything about Rat Castle at ratcastlepod.com. Please give us some cast member confessions if you have anything. Again, that's anonymous. You don't have to If you just have a good cast member story, that's available for you. And then, of course, you can always, chime in with an email. We have a new mailbag that a couple mailbags we'll go over next time. We wanted to make sure we got in our 69 stories for this sexy episode. So, Bri, thank you so much again for joining us. Where can people find you online?
Instagram, charismatic _ mega trauma.
Cool. And you're always posting cool stuff, so always fun. And then Dave, of course, you're everywhere. You can find everything at davecobb.com. Is that right, Dave Cobb?
Linktree. Yeah, we did Linktree / Dave Cobb. You can see all my stuff.
There you go. And then you can find all my stuff at nathanhartman.net. We never do our own links, so there you go. Check out all our stuff. We're so cool. And with that, please grab your belongings, put those panties back on, and exit to the left. Oh, we're perverts.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?